Hi everybody and welcome to Module 2. In this module you're going to be making a podcast, an audio presentation basically. You're going to record yourself speaking, and what you're going to be talking about are 5 or so tools that you found through research that have to do with your particular area. So if you're a math teacher, your job is to go out and find 5 math resources, kind of jot them down and note them because you're going to have to talk about them in the podcast. So there's really kind of 2 pieces to the tech cast. There's first a research piece where you go and find resources in certain places, and I kind of give you some parameters for that. There's a few requirements, such as you have to get a few of those resources out of the Galileo databases through the UWG library. That stresses people out a little bit, but you need to be familiar with the Galileo databases because, at least in the state of Georgia, which is where a lot of you are going to teach, the Galileo databases are paid for already, and every public school teacher has access to those for their students, and you need to become familiar with them. So while you're there, you might even go check out the resources for K-12 teachers, K-12 students, and things like that. And you may find something in those databases. It may not be that you find them in the kind of higher ed, as researchy kind of databases. You might find some really good stuff that's not in the higher ed databases. So anyway, poke around in Galileo. It's a resource that you want to know about, and if you haven't used it for other classes, you might start, because it's really good. It's got good information, good resources. So that's one thing you're going to do. Research, then podcast. Let's see here. Oh, I want you to go check out a few examples of podcasting in education. So I've got an elementary school example through Radio Willow Web, and I just want you to kind of check out one of their podcasts and look at the podcast segment planning booklet, which is a really great tool for if you wanted to use this in your classroom. How would you break this down into little chunks for your students so that it becomes a manageable process? Because some of you may wonder, how would I do this in my classroom? But with this booklet, you have an example of how you could break that down into pieces to support whatever it is that you're teaching. Then I want you to check out Eric Langhorst. He's a middle school social studies teacher, and he uses podcasts in several different ways. So I want you to look at that and think about your own situation or your own potential future situation, and ask yourself, could I use this? Is this at all applicable to what I'm going to be doing? And just kind of allow yourself to brainstorm openly about it. Just keep an open mind. At first you may not think it has any use, but just keep an open mind, and I think that some of you will find yourselves hooked on it. In this module you're also reading chapter 2 of the Web Logitech textbook. This is a fabulous chapter. It's a little dry. It's not as fun as, say, watching our favorite TV show, for example, but so it's a little bit dry. It's about pedagogy. It's about how you teach. It's about the objectivist versus the constructivist. Well, we shouldn't say versus, because the two go well together, but sort of direct teaching compared to sort of more constructivist, everybody brings something to the situation kind of teaching and learning. And it kind of pulls instructional technology into it. So it's basically the chapter about how you can start thinking about ways in which you deliver your instruction, whether it's direct, whether you try to have experiences where students can kind of contribute and add to it as well, and it kind of shows you how technology fits into all of that. So it's a really good chapter. Please read it, and then of course you have the several questions you want to answer on your readings wiki page. But you already submitted that page to a Dropbox in the previous module, so you don't have to do that again, right? Because that page, the address to that page will stay the same. Let's see here, module reading. Oh, formative feedback. So this is the first module where you'll be doing a progress video journal. Remember how I've told you to get a webcam? Well, that webcam's coming in handy in this module. So at the end of the module, when you finished everything, I want you to look back from the end of this module all the way to the very beginning of the course, if you can even remember that far by that point. And I just want you to kind of reflect on how things are going in a video between 1 and 2 minutes. There are more detailed instructions and prompts in the Progress Video Journal page that's in this module. If you look down below, there's instructions, there's like 10 questions that I ask that can kind of give you something to talk about. It's up to you what you talk about. This is a formative feedback exercise where you get to debrief a little bit about what you've been going through. I get to listen to you debrief about what you've been going through. And then sometimes I give group responses, so I'll watch everybody's progress video journals, and then I'll type up notes while I'm watching and look for patterns, and it's really useful when I do that. I don't always have time to do that, but if nothing else, it gives me just a good sense of how things are going. So it's an important tool, and this module you do your first one. You'll do 3 of those total this semester. It's kind of like the way I'm talking to you right now, where you get to talk to me. I get to see you talk and squirm a little bit, because it's a little unnerving to talk to a video camera, you know? I feel like I'm talking to a Cylon, or something, a Cyclops Cylon. Anyway, let me know if you need any help with this module. I'm sure that some of you will, because we're podcasting, and there's always a few podcasting adventures to be had. But I look forward to learning about the tools that you find and discover and share through your podcast. And see you online.